Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Sade. Welcome back to my channel, Hidden Alchemy. Thank y'all for joining me for our astrology talk. For today, we are diving into what does it mean if you have your Mercury in the sign of Cancer. Now, before I dive in, if you have not seen any of my videos on what the planet Mercury means, what the sign Mercury means, go ahead, check out my channel. I have tons and tons of astro videos that you can dive into to have a better understanding before entering into this video. Now, diving into Mercury in the sign of Cancer. Well, first of all, Mercury is the planet of communication. It rules how we process information and then how we are able to communicate the information back to other people in its most simplest form. This is something that a lot of people don't talk about with the planet Mercury. It's really about knowing how to communicate things back to others in a simple form that others may be able to understand and process within themselves as well. Now, when we deal with the sign of Cancer, Cancer is feminine, it is ruled by the moon, and it is a water placement. So you have the planet Mercury, which is naturally the planet ruler of the sign Virgo, as well as Gemini. And then you have Cancer, which is this watery, elusive, very sensitive, mystical sign. So to be honest, right off the bat, Mercury does not really feel the most comfortable in the sign of Cancer. And whenever I talk about astrology, I don't like to dive into whether something is good, whether something is bad. It's really just about learning how to use the energy for what it is for its greatest advantage. But Mercury does not really like to be in the sign of Cancer. And the reason being is because Mercury is one of the fastest moving planets. And when you put it in a water sign, it kind of drowns things out and slows things down. And Mercury doesn't get to move as fast as it would really like to. When your Mercury is in the sign of Cancer, you are a person that likes to process things on an emotional level. Mercury and Cancer folks really see through the lens of their emotion. So it's not necessarily about what you're saying to them when they're communicating with you, but it's the intention and the emotion behind your words. A Mercury and Cancer person, they're going to hear your words, but most importantly, they're going to feel your intention and feel what you meant. And they're not going to remember what you said, but they will remember exactly how you made them feel. And this is why Mercury has a difficult time in Cancer, because Mercury is about logic. It's about analyzing things. It's about practicality. And it's about being able to communicate with people on a surface level. Mercury can be a little bit more on the shallow plane and just having conversations about facts, about information, and about ideas. Cancer is, there's nothing shallow about Cancer. Cancer wants intimacy. It wants to really get to the rawness and the truth of how you are feeling or how they are feeling. So when they communicate with other people, they're communicating from a place of emotion. They're communicating from a place of sensitivity. And most importantly, when they're listening, because Mercury doesn't only rule how you communicate, but it's how you listen. A Mercury and Cancer person is going to be able to hear what you're not saying and feel your emotions behind your words. And this is actually a really great benefit. So like I said, there's positive and negatives to everything, but just learning how to use the energy for your fullest advantage is what's going to help you in the long run. But the great thing about Mercury and Cancer folks is their ability to listen. Their ability to really sit back and receive. Because it's that feminine sign, they're going to receive what you are saying. They're going to receive your emotions. And because they're really good at listening, and most people, most of us, we communicate from a place of being detached from our emotions, right? We like to communicate things based off of facts, based off of information. But a Mercury and Cancer person, they're going to be able to hear what you're saying and then really feel like, okay, how is this person really feeling on the inside? What does this person really mean behind what they're saying? They're very good at reading in between the lines. And this is why for these folks, they can be very great therapists because they like to communicate on an emotional level. They're really good therapists because they can really know what people need in order to feel good. Cancer is really all about nurturing others, making other people feel good, and making other people feel safe. Safety is very, very important for these folks. Now, if you also have your Mercury in the sign of Cancer, then you are a person who's not going to open up to others as quickly. And the reason being, Cancer is guarded, and Cancer has to feel safe before they can really show you their nurturing abilities, their psychic abilities, and just the warmth that they really truly embody. So, coming around these folks and having a conversation with them, if they're not emotionally moved to speak on something, which again, they move through the lens of their emotion, they speak through the lens of their emotions. If they're not emotionally moved to communicate with you, then they could come across a little cold, a little reserved, but they're really just trying to fill you out. They're trying to sense you out. They're going to use their psychic abilities to see if you're someone that they can really feel safe with, to have a deep emotional or intellectual conversation. So these folks, it can take them some time to warm up to you, but once they feel that safety with you, then they can really communicate what's really going on inside. And when I talk about the Mercury signs and the Venus signs, it's so important to know what your Mercury and your Venus is in, because these are the two planets that deal with our interactions with others, our connection with others, and how we relate to others. And if you are a person with Mercury in the sign of Cancer, you like to relate intimately. So dealing with someone that might have their Mercury maybe in the sign of Aries, right? A Mercury and Aries person and a Mercury and Cancer person, those are two signs colliding. Mainly because astrologically, Aries is in the first house, Cancer is the fourth house. The first and the fourth house, they square each other. So if you have your way of communicating in a fire sign and you're trying to mix with someone who has the way of communicating in a water sign, it clashes, because fire can have a different type of force behind their words that a Mercury and Cancer person is going to feel. And even if what you're saying is correct, even if what you're saying is factual, how you make a Mercury and Cancer person feel is what's going to trump everything at the end of the day. So when you're dealing with these folks, you got to be very mindful of your intention. What are your intention behind your words? Because that's what these folks are going to feel before they hear you. Now, despite the emotional aspect of a Mercury and Cancer person, these are folks who are very intellectual. Cancer rules the history of your family bloodline, the lineage, as well as the psychological gifts that have been given to you through your bloodline, as well as the ancestral wisdom that you carry with you. So these are very intelligent folks. And that's why when you're dealing with people that have a lot of Cancer energy or their Mercury in Cancer, these folks can be manipulative. And the reason being, and I spoke about this in my sun sign in Cancer video, most people are not that aware of their emotions. Most people are not that aware of their triggers and why things make them feel the way they feel. So a Mercury and Cancer person has this advantage where they can really feel what a person is saying, know if what a person is saying is false, right? And if they're a little underdeveloped or undermature in their Cancer energy, they can use this to manipulate. They can use this to play mind games, right? Because they're going to know the right words to say based off of your emotional needs. And they can use this to kind of get what they need in the long haul and be a little bit manipulative. But again, this is just going to depend on the maturity of your Cancer energy. But this is something that is very common with folks that have a lot of Cancer energy, as well as having their Mercury or Venus in Cancer. Just that emotional manipulation that they can use because of their deep access and awareness to their own emotions. A really good gift that Mercury and Cancer folks have is their ability to feel through their body what's happening. Because these folks are very intuitive, it's not only verbal communication that they are able to understand, but it's body language. So a Mercury and Cancer person is always going to be able to really feel what is actually happening before they might hear what is happening, or before they might see what is happening. They're going to feel it intuitively in their spirit, in their intuition. So these are folks who are very psychic in their ability to understand the psyche of people, to understand the emotions of people, and to also understand the emotions of themselves. Now, where this can become challenging is because Mercury, like I said before, it's fast paced. It cares about logic and ideas and practicality and analyzing things. And these folks are really going to only move if something is emotionally pushing them, which is the opposite of Mercury. Mercury is about, it is what it is. The fact is what it is. The information is what it is. But these folks might move from a place of emotion, which can blur their sense of logic, their sense of facts and practicality. Depending on what else you have in your chart, if you do have a lot of earth in your chart, you really can work with this energy and feel what you feel intuitively, but take a moment to reflect on what you're feeling that is your information and what you're feeling that might be another person's piece of information, separating the two, and then practically taking steps based off of what you are intuitively feeling. Because our emotions are really great gateways to understand the truth of what we need to feel safe. However, constantly moving from a state of emotion, communicating from a state of emotion, this is where it can get a little blurry, and this is where it can get a little messy, because when we are communicating with another human being, they cannot feel our emotion. They can only understand our words. So sometimes a Mercury and Cancer person can come across as a little overwhelming. Sometimes if they are coming to you with how they feel or what's going on, it can feel very overwhelming because they are communicating and releasing all of their emotions, right? But when you're talking about communication and you're talking about Mercury, it's about being able to separate the two, but still communicate what's going on without this sense of dumping in a way. Now, because these folks are very aware of the intention behind someone's actions, they can be easily triggered by people's words. And these are folks, Cancer is the crab. So if they're easily triggered by your words, you might get a little poke and they might lash out based off of what they're feeling from your words and not necessarily the facts behind what you're saying. So again, be very mindful of your intention behind what you say. Know your emotions behind what you're saying and really learn how to wrap your words with a little bit more love. These are people who need their words to be wrapped with love when people are communicating with them, because they are very, very sensitive to the words of others. Mercury also rules what we like to learn about. It rules the intellect. So a Mercury and Cancer person is really going to be interested in things that are more of the healing, things that are healing arts, maybe Reiki, maybe massage therapy, maybe therapy, like I said before, the psychology of other people, as well as history. Cancer rules your family lineage. These are folks that can really find a deep interest in literature, history, the arts, therapy. They're not going to connect to things that don't make them feel something. These are feeling oriented people. What they study, what they care to talk about with other people has to be based off of what brings out an emotional response. Now, something that a lot of people don't realize about people with Cancerian energy, especially Mercury and Cancer folks, these people are comedians and they're hilarious. The reason being is because Cancer understands the emotions of other people and what people need to feel safe. Because they have this advantage, they can be the funniest people ever because they know how to use their words to pull and evoke an emotion out of someone, to pull and evoke laughter out of someone. So these people can be very funny. A lot of comedians actually have like their sun and their Mercury in Cancer. Kevin Hart has his sun and his Mercury in Cancer. Who else? Missy Elliott has her Mercury and her sun in the sign of Cancer. And if you just watch Missy Elliott videos, she's always finding ways of just collaborating the arts as well as fashion and comedy in either her lyrics or just her music videos. So these folks can be very funny and just know how to pull a certain emotion out of their crowd. A job or a career that can also potentially be very, very beneficial for Mercury and Cancer folks is becoming a doula. And the reason I say this is because Cancer rules the womb as well as the breasts of how we nurture people and how we take care of others. And with Mercury and Cancer, these folks, if they ever become a doula, they're going to really know how to communicate a certain realm of the birthing world that people might not have a connection to. This can be a very profitable job for these folks just because they have this nurturing ability, and with Mercury ruling your intellect, just a deep understanding of what a mom might need during her time of giving birth, during her prenatal, during her postnatal pregnancy. So this can be a career that if you do have your Mercury in Cancer or your Venus in Cancer even, that you could possibly tap into because you have this gift of being the healer and the caretaker. All in all, Mercury in Cancer, beautiful placement, challenging placement nonetheless, But when you can tap into the energy of your Mercury in Cancer and where you might be a little bit weaker than a person that might have their Mercury in Virgo or Mercury in Aquarius, that's when you can find some balance and see when you can tap into the strengths of your Mercury in Cancer, and then use whatever else you have in your chart to kind of clear out the other areas of Mercury in Cancer that could be a little bit on the weaker side. Thank y'all so much for joining me on my channel. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment if you do have your Mercury in Cancer and this energy resonates with you. I would love to hear. And if not, I will see you for our next video.